Hello? Can anyone around here speak basketball?
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.
Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Freddie Rivas, and who, good sir, are you?
I am the producer. My name is Matt. Nice to see you, Fred. How are you doing?
It is very good to see you too. I'm feeling pretty good, especially about my Skype background. A little foreshadowing to the episode.
Yeah.
Yours is the best, obviously. You got the books in the back, and
I got to light it up a little bit, but
but it's lit magically. You got the arm for your mic. It's just If you guys could see Matt's setup, you'd be like, "Oh my god, this is huge."
Oh, but you can listen to the podcast now on YouTube. We've got it on there, and you know what, Fred? We're up to like 31 subscribers.
Holy guacamole, that's a lot.
We're getting a couple of peaks every episode now. Obviously, our podcatchers do all the heavy lifting, as they should. But yeah, if you want to see what we're looking like, because you've been trapped inside like we have, and you want to see our guests, you can do that. And you know what? If you do, please subscribe. That'd be cool for us, wouldn't it, Fred?
Oh my God, please share, subscribe. If you want to go deep, there's a special way to help us with our Patreon as well. And hey, it's still pretty freaking cold out. I'm not wearing it right now, but Matt, would you let the people know about our anti-itch toque?
Yeah, our guest Allison before the pod told me that it's going to be minus 18 this weekend.
Wow.
And that is, you got to plug your car in. Your ears are going to fall off if you're wearing just a cap like we're wearing. So you do need a toque, and there's a shortage, obviously, right now. Two shortages going on, the N95 masks and toques. And we have some left in stock for you. So if you go to our link tree on Instagram or Twitter, listen, we do have a link for the Shopify. We will get that thing to you in the mail. We'll snail that mail. And then you're going to be fine for the rest of the winter, because we still got another, month and a half of this stuff.
Matt's absolutely correct. It's going to be so cold for the next little while. You're going to start to read those classic reports. So like it's colder here than it is on Mars.
Yeah.
Or, oh my goodness, there's people doing things in Winnipeg. How? Stuff like that. It's going to be that cold. But Matt, I feel like we've hit everyone up with all our good stuff, right? Is there any hot links or info or anything people need to know?
Well, we're on the Sonar Network. Always go to the sonarnetwork.com, because they got all kinds of great podcasts there. You can listen there. We've got all kinds of links there that can, shoot you in the direction of podcatchers. But we do have dunkspodcast.com as well. As we always say, it's a teenager skateboard of a site, and we're proud of it. And we've got all the links for everything there. It's just a lot of fun. You can also listen to the episodes there. You can go back to our old seasons, click and have some fun, folks. That's why we're here.
Matt wants you to have fun, folks. Do it. Listen to this man. And without further ado, and before we get into it, let me just say, email your city councilors, Black Lives Matter, and defund the police. And Maddie, if you feel like we're good to pop right into this podcast, please, sir, just give me those sweet words. Okay. Okay, let's bring on guest number one. It's I believe her second time on the podcast. She's an incredible basketball personality. You might know her on Twitter at Canoe Girl, or from the Raptors Queens podcast. she's also a bird enthusiast, and I'm a like a burgeoning one, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, without further ado, give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone, for Alison Hope.
You can see her face right now. She's like,
This is your music, Alison. Some people are happy with it. Some people don't like it, but it's a lifelong thing, regardless.
It kind of reminds me of last time, but thank you for the invite, guys. Super excited to be here, and nice to meet you, Franco. So I guess I'm ready to go.
Amazing. I'm pretty ready to go too. And thanks for joining the pod again. Let's bring on guest number 2. He's a hilarious comedian. He's an amazing improviser. You might know him from the sketch troupe TallBoyz or from the TV show TallBoyz. They are all, in fact, tall boys, but they're also very, very funny. It's an incredible show. And season 2 is right about to come out. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit. But give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone, for Franco Nguyen.
Hey. Oh, I like this.
This is, I think, is this your second time on the pod, Franco?
No, this is
it your
first
first
time?
first time. I think you and I have did a podcast in the past on down in the post.
Right.
on
We've
Pal-
talked
Pal
ball
East
before.
Coast. Yeah, years ago.
But yeah, you're an old head like me, or I mean, at least a long time basketball fan.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on and nervous as well.
I'm like feeling, I think it's this chair. It's like, I feel like I want to keep moving too much. And I'm like, Freddie, stay focused. Don't just wiggle around in the chair. You know what I mean? But that's just me coaching myself. Let's just jump right into it, because I feel like once we start talking ball, all things will subside. Maddie, if you're there, and I know you're there, I just keep saying that to
Always.
myself. You're always there. You're always there for me. Please give me your most delicious, amazing, weird Raptors sting.
Bobby Webster.
Meow. Alison, let's go to you first. And just jumping off last night, that incredible JV performance. I think for Raptors fans, it was nice to see a familiar face. Also a bunch of Canadians on the Grizzlies, and JV doing so well, but also the game ended with us kind of like overcoming that, putting JV in some space. There's a nice play where Pascal blew by him. But that's just, I'm not trying to slander JV. It just kind of got me in a good feel zone. And it made me think about like, what Raptor of any era, recent or old, would you like to see on this current team?
Oh, this is a super fun question. I think kind of the easy answer that came to the top of mind is Serge Ibaka, but I thought I'd kind of look back over my fandom, since it goes back to about 2003. And a name that came to mind is Anthony Parker. He ended up playing about 3 seasons for the Raptors. He was a very durable player, and I was looking at his numbers. He at one point played all 82 games in one of his seasons with us. He was a corner sniper. He never shot lower than 39%. And back in those times, he was only taking about 4 shots a game. He averaged 11 points a game. And I don't know if you guys were watching then. Does anyone remember what number he wore? Because this is why he came to mind right away from what Chuck Swirsky used to say during the games. Do you remember?
The only thing that I can think of is 23, because I know when he played for Maccabi Tel Aviv, I think, and people said he was like the Michael Jordan of the EuroLeague before he came over, but maybe I'm wrong.
I'm pretty sure. I didn't look this up. I think he wore number 18, because Swirsky's call used to be, and Anthony Parker from 18 Parkerville Lane, like whenever he hit a corner 3. So I really, really enjoyed him. Well, I enjoyed Chuck, but
I miss Chuck too.
Yes. And I honorable mention to Charles Oakley. He was with the Raptors before I, jumped on board. But by all accounts, he was just a really good player. So that would be Anthony Parker would be mine.
Those are amazing choices. I loved Anthony Parker, brother of Candace Parker, one of the best WNBA players to ever lace
Did
him up.
not know that.
Yeah, and she actually just got traded to Chicago, so that's a big move. Or maybe she just signed there as a free agent. But Anthony Parker was like such a glue guy. He was so solid and steady, and I think in this era would thrive because he was a good defender too, good size. Anthony Parker would be amazing. Oakley obviously is just the shit. Oakley's amazing. Franco, do you have a person who are a former player you'd like to see on the Raptors?
Anthony Parker. The 18, I remember someone mentioning that it was like a tribute to his some type of he learned a lot about Judaism, and it's a special number in Judaism. I could be wrong, but that is also from his days of playing at Maccabi Tel Aviv. And his game is so much like, for anyone that watches now or that watched 2 years ago, it's very Danny Green.
Danny Green.
It's like, but with more fadeaways, I would say. I think Kawhi Leonard would be the player from the past. I mean, I feel like that's too obvious. Because watching the game the other night, I mean, we're getting killed down low, and so the things that I'm thinking about are like rebounding. So if I'm thinking of just like pure rebounding, I'm thinking of like the non-obvious choices are like JYD. And Charles Oakley is like someone that came to mind. I like Daniel Marshall because like the game needs to be stretched out a little bit. So
Daniel Marshall would be fun.
Yeah, and I think Chris Bott. It's kind of seems unfair to choose like franchise players, but I feel like that's like someone we need, someone that can help rebound but still contribute to the scoring.
Hey, anyone who's a former Raptor. I actually was kind of thinking, a prime Vince Carter would be pretty sick on this team. But I was trying to think like similar to kind of both of you, like on the margins a little bit. And the person I came up with was just if we had top athleticism Marcus Camby.
Oh,
I think
that's a great choice.
He would just be blocking everything, dunking everything. He would kind of change the team from a physical standpoint.
Yeah.
But Franco, let's stick with you for this next one. So, I'm sure every fan has a different approach to how they feel about Kyle Lowry and his legacy, and obviously the Bleacher Report rumors came up about potentially there being reason for Kyle to be traded. I've kind of talked about it a bunch on the podcast about like how difficult the mechanics of a Kyle Lowry trade actually would be. So I don't really want to go into all that, but I think that happening and then also the back spasms happening last night is kind of this weird storm of like, I feel like it's going to put a pause on that conversation, but I'm just interested in both of your opinions. And Franco, we'll go to you first. What do you like as a Raptor fan, want for Kyle Lowry's legacy? Like, what do you think is his, let's say, he hopefully plays to 40, what are his last couple of years like? What do you want them to be like?
I think, I'm one of those people that used to swear at Kyle a lot during the, when it was the bromance with DeRozan and Lowry. Like every playoffs, I just remember sitting at Shoeless Joe's just screaming. And even
you'll do that at Shoeless Joe's, so
yeah, I'm just eating wings and screaming, and I have to avoid eye contact because people think I'm directing it towards them. But even during the title run, I was like so hard on Kyle Lowry throughout the whole thing. Maybe until we got to the finals, but I remember just screaming during the Bucks run. But I mean, I think, if we can get him to Philly for some pieces there, because he's from Philly, I feel like if we can put him in a spot where, I feel like he's definitely earned. He's so important to the Raptors' history that we should put him somewhere that he'd be happy with, somewhere where he could go for a title run. I mean, I heard rumors about LA. I'm very opposed to that, but if that's what he wants, reunite him with Kawhi and Serge, and give the Clippers, the dirty, cheating, illegally scouting, interfering Clippers, what they want, because I want what Kyle wants.
Wow. All I can say is that I think I've been pretty consistent that if Kyle does want to be traded, I feel like, the franchise would work with him on that and should, but I'm not sure that he wants, I've just been thinking about this kind of conversation a lot recently. And I'm like, I'm not sure he wants to go to a place, where he's going to be kind of have a very specific and kind of high profile with tons of scrutiny role. And I feel like Kyle is up for the challenge, but there's also a part of me that feels like he has everything he wants here. And, I think he feels like he can be a part of a competitive future for the Raptors. So, I might just be in dream world, but, I also think, that there's the mechanics part of the conversation where it's like all those places you talked about, the contenders are the ones that they don't have a lot of dead salary to throw around. And, Kyle's making $33 million. So it's like, we would have to really kind of take a Tobias Harris contract back, or something not good. But Alison, let me go to you. What kind of future, I guess, do you think Kyle wants, or do you want for him? Do you want to kind of send him off the Marc Gasol treatment, or where are you at?
Oh, so I'll preface what I'm going to say with just the observation that probably the most eloquent I've ever been in my life was not at a meeting or doing a eulogy at a funeral. It was in a big debate about the merits of Kyle Lowry, and especially those years that eliminated in 4 games against Washington, or in the Eastern Conference final the last year against Cleveland, swept. And I argued vehemently that he was not the problem, that he was the one to keep if a choice had to be made between he and DeMar. So, I mean, and I think I was right about that. I've been wrong about a lot of basketball things, but I was right about that. And the comments by Masai, it was simple what he said, but it was so eloquent. Masai said, there's something about this guy, and he is so damn right. So I'm a very firm believer in his worthiness for the Hall of Fame. And I've caught heat on Twitter for saying this, but man, if Sean Marion is in, Kyle Lowry is a lock. So, he's got this expiring contract, and, I don't think we're going deep this year. I think we can all agree on that, barring trades or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, I said the same thing as Franco. I'd like to see him traded to Philly. He can play for a contender. He can add another ring potentially. But then ultimately, I'd like to see him come back to Toronto and finish his career and break the bottle of champagne against the statue outside of Scotiabank Arena. And I think the only thing left to decide is what format the statue will take. I'm a big fan of a statue of Kyle, imploring the referee to hand him the ball so he can hurry up and push the ball up the floor.
That's a good one. My Kyle statue, I think, is I want to just put it somewhere in the 4 big banks, or somewhere in the path or something, where it's basically an elevator opens up and you walk into Kyle, and it's he basically took a charge on you. And it's you're you know what I mean? But it's a statue, so it's totally solid, and you're you can't move it. And just so he's just taking charges for eternity. Yeah, or if he gets the Kawhi treatment with the steps, I just wanted I want all the lighting effects to be places he's taken charges. But yeah, the hurry up, give me the ball, ref, the hurry up offense is such a good Kyle thing. It's such a good part of who Kyle is. Our team is kind of a trend center on always going for the two for one. You see it, with Fred and Pascal and Kyle but Alison, let's stick with you and just go to our last Raptors question.
I just want to say I want Kyle to stay a Raptor for as long as he wants. And the only time he should leave is when his vertical leap is lower than Derek Martin's was.
Well, I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
Obscure reference.
So forever.
You may have to explain that.
Derek Martin, just a quick shout out to him. He extended that 3-point streak, which Raptors fans had going for I forget what it was, 800 games. He shot a 3 for pizza, and also that was the 1-3 we made in the game. Derek Martin, bench celebrator. Sorry, Franco. I feel like I've taken.
He was like a really good. He was like your old gym teacher. If he was on a basketball team.
Oh yeah. I think at one point there was a cheeseburger nickname. I'm not even kidding. Because there's a thing in an interview where he's like cheeseburger, or I forget exactly what it was, but it was fairly hilarious. Okay, let's Alison, let's stick with you for the last question. Yeah, and this is kind of, I can look ahead to the schedule, but it's more so just kind of a guesstimation. We're 11-13. We have a back-to-back coming up, so we could be 500 at the end of this back-to-back. But, it doesn't always work like that. So I'm just getting your temperature. When do you think this team is going to be 500 again?
That's a really hard question. I'm not sure they're going to. I mean, failing a trade, and we know there's going to be attrition from injuries. And I was kind of thinking about this last night before Kyle went out. I mean, and OG's out. But I just looked at the next 13 games, until the break, and 7 of those teams are under 500. And oddly enough, one of those teams is Miami, and they always play us tough. I kind of predicted the Raptors would finish with around 40 wins. I'm not so sure about that. I kind of see us hovering just around 500 the rest of the season, barring any big changes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's very fair. I looked ahead to the schedule too, and yeah, there are some kind of rough teams in there, but I feel like Boston's coming up. We also have a back-to-back with
Milwaukee.
And that could kind of set us back. So it could be a long journey. Franco, where are you at? And you can just give me a random number too. If it's I think they'll be 500 at 20 or whatever.
I think the next games, they're 11-13. They'll be, and they're facing Washington. And then the game after that was it the third game after?
Yes. It's Wizards, Celtics, Timberwolves, Bucks.
Yeah, so the Celtics and the Bucks are tough, but I think if they pull one off against Boston, if it's if they have a chip on their shoulder, Pascal's clicking. Norm was great starting the other day. Maybe they just catch a streak. Fred's really getting really hot. So maybe they just pull one off against Boston, and I feel like Washington, that's an easy one. And the Wolves, I think that's another W. I feel like they could be 500 at least. After the next 3 games, they're going to be 500.
That's kind of, I brought this question up because that was my optimistic take, and my kind of kind of more afraid take was what Alison said, because I think there is a chance that you can't quite get your footing at any point with this season. And, friend and former guest of the podcast, Dan Gallia, earlier in the season, we were talking about, it was after a loss, and, there was some signs of optimism, but he was just kind of man, I feel like this is going to be that type of season where Pascal's going to get it going. but then OG's going to be out, and OG's going to come back, but then Fred's going to be out. And there's this kind of like, there's not enough depth to kind of like buoy a machine. But I think, I don't know, I'm feeling kind of good, you know, especially at the end of that Grizzlies game. I feel like there's some good stuff happening in the margins with, like, you know, Utah and Stanley and Bembry all kind of being reliable. Boucher seems like he hit that dip, you know, where everyone scouted him for a second, and he's kind of like back to being like, no, I am confident. I am going to let it fly from three. So I don't know. Yeah, I think I want to beat Boston. So I'm going to say that we're going to be 500 after the Boston game, and then I'm going to feel really silly if we're not. But yeah, that's my take. Sorry.
But now that you say that, Freddie, like, and Franco, like, typically after a really bad game against Boston, we come back with a solid effort. I'm thinking of that Christmas Day game 2 years ago, and we were terrible. And then I think we played them back to back the next game, and we beat them. So yeah, I think passions kind of run deep, and I think that's possible.
Me too.
And you know, have a full healthy roster right now.
I think they have.
Smart is Smart still out?
Smart will be out, well, you know, likely when we play them, and I think Tatum might have been out for a little bit, but yeah, I haven't checked back in.
Brown's out.
Brown's out.
Right.
Oh wow. So,
and I don't know that Kemba's back.
He's back.
Yeah, Kemba's back, but yeah, Boston's had some health issues. I love Matt coming in there.
No.
Kemba's back.
He must be on my fantasy team.
What did you say, Franco?
I said, did I say 500? Because I'm scared of Kemba.
Yeah. I'm a little bit scared of Kemba too, but you know, hey, we have outfitted ourselves. Actually, I can't even go down that road because, like, the playoff series was good, but then we really got beat up pretty bad earlier in the year. That's like maybe our worst loss. So I'll hold the homerism for a sec with Boston, but I do want to move on to some NBA stuff. So if you're both good, and Maddie, if you got some juicy, amazing NBA sting, please, good sir, give it to me.
This is Adam Silver.
Classic. Everyone knows Adam Silver walks around making that noise. So thank you so much, Matt, for including that. It's really a deep guttural noise that sounds like it's like auto-tune or something, but he can pull it off. He needs like a pop or something. I don't know why. Okay. Weird joke rant. Franco, I'm going to go to you first here. This is like a fun conversation because it's not us, but who do you think right now is the very worst team in the NBA?
I think the Detroit Pistons. I mean, they're in the news recently with the Derrick Rose trade. I don't think they really gain a lot picking up Dennis Smith Jr. I think it's just the team is really thin. And I mean, Blake Griffin seems like he's on the sort of the downward slope of his career. Unfortunately, I love Blake Griffin, legendary dunker, great comedic skills off the court as well. But it seems like I think someone had a post on the net that says Blake hasn't dunked this year, so it just seems like athletically, that was his game. He was like this dude that just flew in the sky and just dunked on everybody. Has had to remodel his game, and it just seems like the shift is slower than what is needed for the success of Detroit this year.
Yeah, no, I think they're full on in a situation where they're like trying to be bad because, like, you know, it looks like they're going to rebuild around Jeremy Grant, but, you know, that will probably take a little while, and things are not looking good in Detroit. That might be the answer. I picked another team just for like conversation's sake. But let's go to you, Alison. Who do you think is the worst team right now in the NBA?
So this is more subjective than objective. I was kind of looking at Washington. So they're 6-15, I believe. They're 28th in defensive efficiency. They're the worst in the league in points allowed, second worst defensive rebounding team, and the worst in defending opponents shooting the three. Probably some of the rebounding issues are because Thomas Bryant, their center, is out for the year. But I kind of went with Washington because I have a historic hatred for this franchise, especially after the 2015 sweep and then Randy Whitman with that infamous whiteboard incident. Do you guys remember that?
Oh,
I
yes.
remember it.
Oh my God. It was
Please remind the listeners though.
So during a timeout, and it could have been the year before, but regardless, Randy Whitman was trying to draw up a play and he had the blank whiteboard with the baskets drawn in and he kept flipping it upside down like it was the wrong way. Like, and the players were just like looking at him with, incredulity. So yeah, I went with, by the way, that video is out there on YouTube. It's quite funny.
Please check it out. It's amazing.
And we lost to them. So, and I feel bad for Brad Beal. Someone needs to free Brad Beal. So yeah, went with Washington.
Washington, great choice. I thought this segment would be fun for like teams being like, hold my beer, I'm bad too. And it's turning out pretty great. And so I'm going to jump in with mine. Although, yeah, I'm still wrestling because like when I look at Detroit, it's like there's a lot of ouch. Washington, I think, probably is in a situation as well where it's going to get worse for them, especially if there's trades on the horizon. But my team, and I thought they were going to have a bit of a better year competitively, but they've been very unlucky and it's been very, very tragic as well. But my team's the Minnesota Timberwolves. And they're, they have talent, they have guys that can do stuff, but they have been just like no showing on the court. And it's been like, they're not super duper competitive. Like, I don't think they have all the worst, advanced metrics, but that plus being in the Western Conference, I just feel like it's not going to be very long before they pack it in and try to get their, first overall pick, a lot of playing time. Not necessarily shop Towns or D'Angelo Russell, but I think they'll count the year as a loss fairly quickly.
There's a betting website and they've got the odds up for the first coach to be fired, and Flip Saunders has the worst odds. So yeah, maybe you're onto something there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what? I think all of our coaches are in trouble because it's like Scott Brooks, right? Like,
did I say Flip Saunders? His son. Sorry. Let me correct myself.
Oh yes. No, you know what? It's not, it's Ryan Saunders.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, actually it's funny when you said Flip Saunders, I jumped right to it as well, but RIP Flip.
RIP.
But yeah, Scott Brooks. And then also I miss him, but I also feel like, he got the bag, he got a lot of money, but Dwayne Casey's probably like at some point, going to be like, all right, Detroit is like, I was on the cusp of like a championship with the team I was, and I came here to rebuild, and we just keep rebuilding. So yeah, a hot seat. I think we just named the three coaches that are like super duper on the hot seat. But let's stick with you, Alison, on the last NBA question here. And that's just, and I have a list too, because this might be a little bit subjective, but who do you think is going to be the most deserving first-time All-Star in the league? So yeah, if someone didn't jump to mind, we can kind of like brainstorm here, because sometimes it's easy to forget that there are certain guys that, they've been to the All-Star game once or whatever. But yeah, Alison, let's hear what you're thinking.
Well, I had to go in and actually look at the voting, and the player I went with actually went to the Rising Stars last year. So I'm not sure if that disqualifies him from your question or not, but I'm just going to go with it.
Yep.
I went with Colin Sexton. So he was drafted 8th in Cleveland, and he played in under Coach John Billeen, and he's the one who infamously complimented his players on their effort by saying they were no longer playing like a bunch of thugs. And then
that guy.
that was brutal.
Terrible.
So I mean, he's Colin Sexton kind of walks into this situation. He is on a team with Kevin Love, who had like a meltdown in practice about not getting the ball, and there's a video there somewhere of him slapping chairs during a timeout. Apparently, he raised his voice to the GM, Kobe Altman. So, I mean, this is sort of the lesson in professionalism you're getting as a young player.
Brutal.
He really hasn't had a strong culture around him. And it's kind of nice to see him succeed on his own merits here, in spite of the organization around him. And I think he came up huge in that the first game against Brooklyn. Did they, correct me if I'm wrong, did they not take 2 games from Brooklyn? And I think one of them went into overtime, and Colin Sexton scored like 46 points. So I think he's super deserving. Right. Yeah, I like him. I think he's super deserving.
Yeah, Colin Sexton's a great choice, and also Cleveland. You have to give credit where it's due. Like they're winning games. They're improving, and you see guys like Levine on there. Big kind of vote getters, and that might have been a bit of a spoiler. I don't know if you chose Levine, Franco, but. I brought him up because I think there's other kind of like flashier, more well-known guys. And, people didn't see Sexton in the bubble either. Right. So for some fans, it's probably like 16, 18 months or whatever since they've seen this guy play. And he's incredible. He's really improved. Franco, who's your most deserving first-time All-Star?
The first person that came to my mind is De'Aaron Fox, but I'm not sure if has he been an All-Star before?
No, he hasn't been an All-Star, but yeah, he's like, this is kind of a hard question in the sense where it's like, you don't know who's going to make it. And obviously the starting lineups are people that have been there a bunch, but Fox is he's a deserving. The Kings are also in that like competitive space.
He just got named. He was just player of the week this past week. I mean, I love his game. He's so fast. He's a Dragon Ball Z fan. He plays a lot of 2K.
Huge.
Wildcat. I think, anime taste is a big part of being selected as an all-star, and I think De'Aaron Fox should go in based on that reason alone.
I think your criteria is basically perfect, and no one could ever poke any holes in it.
Yeah, De'Aaron Fox, great, and he's having a great year as well. And yeah, again, just got named player of the week, and I think he's just on the come up. Kings are a very interesting team.
Yeah, I mean, Fox against us the other night was like awesome. I know we kind of like whooped the Kings pretty good the first time we played them, but they really producer pick Beasley. And I have a feeling this has something to do with your fantasy team, Mr. Matt Duncan. But please, I'll let you elaborate. You've come on screen to inform everyone about Malik Beasley.
Okay, listen up here, folks. Okay, Malik Beasley, he's doubled all his stats from last year. He's averaging 20 points. He's averaging 5 rebounds. He's averaging 3 threes. The guy is stepping up on a terrible team. He's given the fans something to cheer for here. And I think that if this all-star is like, you got to pick one from each team, if it was that kind of all-star game, I'm picking Beasley for the Timberwolves. And that's all I have to say.
Well, for folks who were just, like hearing that, like just audio only, he completed 40 chin-ups in the time that he explained that. So Matt goes hard.
Yeah, you can't see me, but I'm doing push-ups like crazy right now.
Yeah, he works out furiously the whole pod. It's a lot, but it's fun. Okay, mine is this is a tough kind of like fringy pick. But I think if the Jazz hold on to the the best record in the NBA and in the Western Conference, they may get 3 All-Stars, and it would be Mike Conley's
That was my
first
second choice. Yeah.
first All-Star. I think that the Jazz would really have to have like a I don't know, a couple games on the Lakers even to be in there. And then, I think Levine is another guy I was thinking of. I think Jaylen Brown, if he gets in, is going to be very deserving. And the person I'm kind of hoping for, because it would mean that the Raptors season is going to like get a lot better quickly, is Fred. I think Fred has the numbers.
Yeah.
He, is deserving, but the Raptors have to be on the winning side of things, I think, for one of our guys right now to be in contention.
Oh, Fred, I had a quick question now that we're talking about the All-Star game.
Sure.
I read a report that maybe the fans are not voting for the Raptors to protect them from going to the All-Star game in regard to COVID and whatnot. And they asked Fred about it, and he said that's very noble. So what?
Wow.
But
Yeah.
we're in Florida.
Yeah, he's like, thank you so much. I don't know if you watched the Super Bowl, but that's where we are.
Yeah. It's
So-
already hot in hell.
That's funny.
But that's apparently that could be a thing. So if we don't get our guys in the All-Star game, it's us noble fans
Yeah.
not
I like
voting
it.
them to go.
That's what, Matt,
That's
you are
the doctor's
officially like a hardcore Raptors fan, because that's like some deep, like mental gymnastics you're going through. Sorry, Franco, you got some?
No, I was just saying, I don't remember what I was saying. But anyways, I think Mike Conley is a great pick. Man, I loved his career. And it's just, and he's so noble. And I remember one of my favorite quotes from him was, because people had always doubted him. He came in with Greg Oden at the same time. They're on the same team in Ohio. And, he's this under barely 6 feet. I think he might even be like 5'10" point guard. And no one expected him to have the career that he had. And I think someone asked him something along the lines of like, what do you want to say to people who are you glad you proved people wrong? He's like, it's not about proving the haters wrong. It's about proving the people who believed in me right. I was like, wow, that's beautiful.
That is beautiful. Yeah, I'm trying to think about like, if there's like a Raptor that would like most embody like, that. But I feel like there's a lot of prove them wrong attitude going down for the Raptors. But yeah, prove them right's nice. I like that too. Let's finish this off with some silly quickish questions. Alison, you've done it before. Franco, it's going to be your first time. And let me tell you, it's a blast.
All right.
Maddie, I know you're there. I really do know you're there. Doing chin-ups and push-ups, maybe squats. I don't know. But please, good sir, give me your freshest sting for quickish questions. Quickish questions. We've arrived at the silly segment. Me making fun of my own segment. I don't know why, but here's how it works. I'm going to read fan questions, and a lot of listeners of the pod, friends, hardcore Raptors fans. I'm going to read whatever questions they have. I'm going to likely stumble through it. I might slur. Maybe my ADD will kick in. Could have a stroke. Honestly, doesn't matter. You have to answer as quickly as possible. And that's how the game works. That's what the segment is. You can't stall. No phoning a friend. No delaying. You got to just hit me with that answer.
No pressure.
No pressure, except all the pressure. Okay. Are we ready to go or what? We'll go Franco, Alison, Matt.
It's good.
All right.
Let's go.
Okay. Franco. Which player from the 80s and 90s not named MJ could play in today's NBA?
80s and 90s. Are they the same player or a different player?
I think it's up to you.
Okay. I think it's so hard with the three. I mean, I guess to me it's Larry Bird. I mean, it feels like that's the obvious choice. Stretch. I mean, he's very. I mean, Dirk Nowitzki is not so far off, but like, yeah, I feel like that's the obvious choice. Can move, very skilled, great shooter. You just have to shoot way more.
Love it. Alison, I think this is a perfect question for you. Does Paul Watson need more minutes?
Definitely.
Correct. Matt.
Yes, sir.
This question, just answer it however you like. But the
Great.
question is, who he play for with 3 question marks.
Who he play for?
That's right.
Boy, that's a good question. Thanks for that one. I think who he plays for is Toronto Raptors, and I'm talking about Chris Boucher.
Okay, love it. I loved your journey. Franco, is OG being prone to injuries a concern?
It's I would. Was he 25, 26 now? I think
He's younger. I think he's 24.
Okay, then it's less of a concern to me. I think with today's technology, people rebound all the time. He could be like a Grant Hill situation. And I think the last time he was out of, I'm not as concerned because unless it's a significant injury, then I'd be worried. But because the way the seasons have been, stop and start, off seasons are short turnarounds, I'm not as concerned.
I also think we need to respect his injuries because that's how we got him, right? He was injured before the draft. So we wouldn't have OG if it wasn't for his wonderful injuries. So,
Wow. Matt, that's beautiful. Very beautiful end to the pod here. Sun setting here in Toronto. It's gorgeous. Actually, no, it's not. Not for another 40 minutes. Who's counting, right? But Alison, will Aaron Baines get better?
Oh, I sure hope so. That was terrible last night. I was talking to Matt before we started and like turning down open shots. I mean, they're just blatantly not guarding him. And there was that really perplexing series under the rim last night. I don't know if you guys noticed, they didn't replay it. And he made the initial stop and then I forgot who had the ball, and Baines made no attempt to close out on him. And it was just a little 3-foot chippy, unopposed, like just a complete mental lapse. So this is not the same player we saw with the Celtics. I don't know how much COVID has affected him. He's got to get better.
Agreed. Hard agree. Matt, you're going to love this question.
oh dear.
It looks like there will be no Raptor in the All-Star game. Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it depends on how you look at it.
Right?
If it's us noble fans trying to protect them, try to keep them in the safe zone in Florida, and it's in Atlanta this year, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like whoa, they gotta cross into another state and everything. That's a little dangerous for me in this day and age. So yeah, I think we don't need to worry, but they should definitely have Fred VanVleet in the All-Star game, 100%.
Love it. And Matt, again, thanks for bringing up nobility. I'm glad it's a big part of the pod. Franco, would you bother doing an All-Star game this year? Why not?
Personally, I would,
you're Adam
because it's
Silver
my
in this
dream.
scenario.
Adam Silver. But Franco, would you play in the All-Star game? The answer is yes. It's a dream come true.
That's also fair.
if I was Adam Silver, I don't think it's a good look. I mean, just based on the way they were it seems like it really comes off as there's not as much concern for the players. It seems very dangerous. Georgia has been open the entire time. It seems just like a very it's a money grab for the Turner cable network. So I wouldn't do it, but I also haven't lost a lot of millions of dollars in revenue from a Daryl Morey comment as well.
Fair. Franco, he's all the business. Oh, you're thinking all the
I'm
galaxy
numbers,
brain.
baby.
Yeah, the numbers are crunching. I love it. Alison, from 1 to 10, how satisfied are you with the Raptors selecting Charlie Villanueva, 7th overall in the 2005 draft?
I would have to go back and look to see who went below him. I do remember him as a Raptor. Because I don't know who went below him, I'll say I'm 6 satisfied.
Okay, I like it. Matt.
Yes.
You're gonna enjoy this one.
Okay.
What are some calm, measured reasons why Aaron Baines, who was coming off of a career year and was not coveted in free agency, has been so disappointing?
What are some calm reasons for that? Mate?
Yes.
If
you threw in a mate, thanks.
Well, I've always I've had a lot of fun with picking on Aaron Baines, mate, in this season, and I think it's just to be honest with you, it could be just the COVID, it could be his diet, because I know he eats a lot of meat, mate, and maybe the way it is because he doesn't have his own apartment or anything like that. He doesn't have a proper Barbie in Florida, which he needs to get back in his home base.
Flawless. That's a 10 out of 10 answer, folks. Okay, this is the last 3 questions. Franco, you're getting a special one. Alison and Matt, I'm going to give you the same one because I want to hear 2 different answers. Okay. Franco, this is from a friend. Who are Franco's 4 favorite NBA tall boys of all time?
NBA tall boys? Do they have to? Taco, from the Celtics. Taco. Yao Ming. Mank Batir.
Mank Batir,
wow.
Raptor.
And
shout out Jonathan Yam.
And Manute Bol.
Manute Bol, great tall boys.
And what's his name? George Merchant. He was an actor for a little bit.
George Murison.
Yeah.
Cheers. A little Billy Crystal action. No worries. What was that? My Giant?
I think so. Yeah.
Allison, your last question. Kyle's house is up for sale. What does it all mean?
Oh, that's a good question. Is that like confirmed, or is that like, yeah, what does it mean? Well, I mean, I saw some comments today on social about all the interpretation of Kawhi's Shoppers Drug Mart bag when he was on some vacation on the islands, and how that meant he was coming back, and there was a real estate agent helping him out. So, yeah, I suspect it probably doesn't mean too much. Yeah.
Matt? Sorry.
Yeah.
What do you think it all means? This Kyle Lowry, these rumors, I guess, that his house is up for sale.
He got priced out of Toronto. Okay. Let's just face the facts. He's moving to Barrie, and he's going to drive in for the games because, he wants to be a little bit closer to the country, but still have, that big box feel as well. And I think he's going to really thrive in Barrie, Ontario.
He still wants the big box feel. That's my favorite thing you've ever said. I'm just picturing someone be like, I'm looking for a big box type of place.
And bought a basketball net so he could work from home now.
Yeah, exactly. He's just fully. Kyle's working from home now. He's at that part of his career. I love it, and of course, he's getting priced out of Toronto. That's
unfortunate.
That Toronto real estate is absolutely out of control, and our precious Kyle can't afford to stay here. It's not okay. I think that's a good note to end the pod, though. We've made it to the end. This was a very, very fun podcast. Thank you both for doing it. This is like a fun collection of people. Franco, let me go to you first, and let's just talk about tall boys for a sec here. I'm sure you're promoting all over the place, but let me say to anyone who's listening, these four guys are absolutely incredible. They're hilarious. Please support their show. Watch it like over and over. You know what I mean? So they get like 1 million hits or whatever. You know, let's help them algorithmically. They're genuinely lovely people as well. Yeah. So that's my like, I love TallBoyz. But Franco, please give everyone like the important info so they can actually do stuff.
Check out TallBoyz. It's on CBC and CBC Gem. It premieres on TV on CBC Tuesday, February 16th at 9:30 p.m. And it's presently on the Gem app, CBC Gem. You can just find that on the interwebs. And it's a great show. We're so excited to have the second season. We have a couple basketball. I think we have one basketball sketch. Yeah, very excited.
They have
Please
one
watch.
basketball sketch. Like,
Yeah.
what else do you people need, man? Go check it out.
Check it out.
Alison, thank you so much for doing the pod again.
We're trying to buy Kyle Lowry's house. Sorry.
Oh,
It's too slow.
Yeah,
the goal.
just before I go to Alison's plugs, just a little bit of tea there. The TallBoyz are that big, actually. They're trying to go into Kyle Lowry's house. Like, they're that tall, A, and B, I think they can put all the money together and move into Forest Hill, or I don't know where he lives. But Alison, Raptors Queens podcast is an amazing podcast. You're a great analyst. Thank you so much for doing this again. Where can people, find you? Where do you want them to, like, how should they subscribe to Raptors Queens?
So we're all over where people get their podcasts normally. We're at Raptor Queens on Twitter. I'm at Canoe Girl. And before I go any further, I don't know if any of you follow the Rate My Skype Room Twitter account. I just want to say my Skype room gets a complete fail. Matt, your room is great. Freddie, your room is great. Franco, your room is good. My room is terrible. So the only other thing I want to say is we're in a climate emergency. So that's it.
Hell yeah. And I think you're rating my Skype. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. You got to check it out, Freddie.
I feel like you're being too hard on yourself, although I appreciate the compliment. And I mean, Matt I've already told him before, I'm like, your setup, delightful. Books in the back, squeeze me. 30 chin-ups in one sentence, huge.
Paddington Bear looming there in the dark. See him.
Yeah, you know
For the
what?
fans.
I'm not. Yeah, a little bit less of a fan of the creepy Paddington Bear in the back there. But we've made it to the end of the pod. Thank you so much, everyone. Share, subscribe. Support everyone who's on this pod. And we'll be back next week. Thanks so much, Matt. If you feel like we're good to go, please, sir, just give me the words. Okay.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network. Sonar!